Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. It is everyone's favorite time of the month because I'm here to update my Panda palette. It also means that the month has come to an end. We are nearing the end of August and it's been a long month. I've been posting every single day in the month of August as well as July. So it's definitely been a lot of work. I've also been traveling and yeah, I just had a lot of things going on. And I have actually decided that technically tomorrow is the last day of August and I have decided to skip that day and take a little break and then get back into posting again in September like normal. My first video will go up on the 2nd. So I'll have a little bit of a mini break, but I'm actually going away this weekend to stay with a friend. And yeah, it's been a lot posting every day in August because I've had so much going on. Again, I was traveling back to Sweden to my family. And then I also had to catch up on work, so when I wasn't off, it was a lot of work. Since I'm a manager, I had like some performance reviews, things like that this month as well. So it's just been a stressful time. So I hope you guys are okay with me ending my posting every day one day early. But yeah, today is not about that. I just want to clarify everything a little bit before I get into the video. Today, like I said, it's about my Panda palette, and as you guys know, I'm panning my Soft Glam palette from Anastasia. We are now 8 months into the year, so I'm going to share with you what this palette looks like today. But before I jump into the progress videos and all of the progress, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. Alright, so I'm going to start by posting the videos of what this product has been looking like throughout the year. So this is what it looked like at the introduction, as you can see. I had a lot of use already at the beginning of the year, but it was definitely, you know, not my most used palette by any means. And I was just excited to start working on it. It is a neutral kind of everyday palette, which makes it easy to reach for. It is, however, quite warm toned, which is something that I found in the last couple of months that is very, very warm toned. Throughout the months, you can see that I continued hitting pans on things, and yeah, it's been fun to reach for. I definitely have been favoring the first kind of 2/3 of the palette more than the last kind of bit of the palette, just because I haven't been going for too many dark looks this year. And then the first shade I was able to finish in this palette was Sultry. I don't know if you already seen that or if it's coming up now, but that was the first shade I was able to finish. It was a beautiful shimmer shade, and after that I was able to finish the shade Rose Pink. I kept, of course, also expanding on the pans, and eventually I also finished up the shade Tempera, which is the lightest kind of matte shade in the palette. So those were my 3 finished shades, and on top of that I also had pan on all shades but 1. I have frankened this palette 2 months ago, so you're probably seeing that too, and this is what this palette looked like last month. So you can see that I had re-hit pan on 2 of my franken shades, and overall just had a decent amount of use on the palette overall. And this is what this palette is today. So there's definitely a few changes. You can have the overview right here. I mean, there's mainly like one big change, which is quite obvious to see, and that was also one of my goals, but I'll talk about that later. But again, this is where the palette stands today. Alright, so again, I will have the pictures up here, what the palette looks like, as you can see. I always have that up there. And let me jump into the numbers. So the first shade in the palette is one of my Frankens, and that is the mix between Dusty Rose and Orange Soda. It creates like a neutral transition shade. It's quite similar actually to Burnt Orange, but it's a little bit rosier. And I haven't used this one at all in the past month. Someone actually commented last video that this one has a cute little heart pan, and it definitely does. It's a really, really cute one. I didn't even notice myself, but yeah, very cute pan right there. But I haven't used it in the past month because I've been focusing my efforts elsewhere. Then next to that we have the shade Glistening, which is another one that I have not used. I have plans for that one, and this one is probably gonna go in the next month. And why I'm saying that is because I'm gonna roll in a highlighter into my rolling period pan, which again should be my next video up on the 2nd. And that one is quite light and very kind of cool toned. So what I have decided to do is I'm actually going to use the shade Glistening right here to franken with that highlighter, because this one I feel like is a little bit darker. It's very warm toned as well, and I also feel like it's a little bit more satiny, which I feel like will bring down the intenseness of that highlighter, because it's a very, very intense highlighter too. So that one is gonna go and be franken. Of course, I'm going to calculate all of the uses I use for that highlighter until it's done. And then that shadow is also going to be done. Only at that point this eyeshadow will count as finished. But yeah, For now, I don't have any uses on it. I've been saving it for that purpose, which I have been mentioning about this a little bit. But yeah, that's most likely going to happen in the next month, and I probably will film that process as well. Next to that, we had one of my focus shadows for the last month, and that is the shade Orange Soda, which is a beautiful, light, kind of creamsicle, orangey kind of shade. It's a really, really beautiful shade. In the last month, I had a lofty goal of reaching for this one 15 times, and that was quite high. I unfortunately wasn't able to get there, but I'm really, really happy with my progress nonetheless, because I was able to reach for this one 10 times, which is a really, you know, high amount anyway. 10 times in a month is amazing. So I'm really, really happy with that progress, even though I didn't quite get to the 15. Next to that, we had the shade Rose Pink, which was empty, but I did, as you can see, fill that with one of my Franken shadows, which was the shade Sienna, which is right below it, mixed with a white. And that created this beautiful kind of rosier toned transition shade, which is one that I had a goal on past month to finish. And as you can see, I was able to do so. This one took me 12 additional uses in the past month for a total of 24. So 12 uses this month and 12 uses the month before to completely finish, and this one is now done. The uses for the shadow I have calculated into the uses for Sienna. So whenever Sienna is done, I'm going to add all of the uses up in total, so that we can include those Franken uses as well. I think I also will Franken a little bit more of that, because I did really enjoy that transition shade, and I feel like it's going to be a good way to use up Sienna. So I think I'm going to do a little bit more of that Franken, maybe in the same video as when I'm Frankening that highlighter. Alright, so next to that we have the shade Sultry, which was previously also finished, so I have made another Franken in here. And this one is actually one that I haven't used yet. I haven't used it at all since I Frankened it, and that is the shade Rustic mixed with a white. So Rustic is the shade again below it. And it created this really, really beautiful cool toned transition shade. But since we are in the dead of summer, I haven't really been doing cool tone looks, so that's why I haven't reached for this one. But I'm sure that this one is going to get a lot of use as soon as we get into the colder months. And I'm sure that I'm going to finish this one up and maybe even Franken more of it, because that means that I can have a cool toned crease option in this palette. Then next to that we have the shade Bronze, which is another one that I've been focusing on quite a lot in the past month. I did have a usual goal of 10 for this eyeshadow, and I'm happy to say that I was actually able to reach for this one 11 times. I'm not sure if the pan has expanded. I'm trying to even out the pan quite a lot, like the size as well, and I definitely feel like I've done that. I don't know if you can see that in the pictures, but I feel like if I hold up this palette, you can definitely see that the whole dip in the pan is very kind of shallow now. It's definitely been flattened out quite a bit. So that one I'm really happy with. It's probably going to be one that I'm going to try to focus on finishing soon, because it is one that I think I'm going to be close on, especially because it's a shimmer. But yeah, for now I have 11 uses on it from the month of August. So we have a couple more like boring shades coming up, because I haven't used any of them. I've been very focused on specific shades in the past month, and I've neglected certain shades completely. We have the shade Mulberry from the top row, which I haven't used, and then the first two shades on the bottom row I have not used either, which is the shade Dusty Rose and Fairy. Both of those have not been used, it's because again I've been focusing on other things. However, next to that we have the shade Burnt Orange, which is one of my main focuses at the moment. I really want to try to finish this one soon, and this is one that I also had a usage goal on. I wanted to reach for this one 10 times, and I'm happy to say that I actually surpassed that. I reached for this one 11 times as well, same as Bronze. So I'm really, really happy to see that. It is a shadow that I feel like is getting quite low in the pan, and I don't know, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it in the next month, but I'm definitely going to aim to finish this one in the next 2 months. So yeah, I'm happy to see that, and it's a really, really beautiful shade. I can use this on all over my lid, I can use it in my crease, and I just love the tone on me as well. So definitely happy about that shade, and I'm going to keep working on it. We'll see how far I get with it in the next month. Then next to that we have the shade Sienna, which is a beautiful, beautiful kind of almost reddy undertoned warm brown. I absolutely love this shadow, and it's so beautiful to use. I love using this one in combination with Burnt Orange, and in the past month I have used this one 9 times. So again, really, really happy with that number, and it's definitely my like most used deeper shade in this palette, even though it's more, honestly, more of a medium type of shade. And then for the last 3 shades on the palette, we have the shade Rustic, Cyber Somber, and Noir. And unfortunately, I haven't reached for either of those either. I just again been focusing more on kind of this center area right here, like I don't know, these shades right here, and then this one plus the Franken that I finished. Those are the shades that I've been focusing on this past month, and the rest of the palette unfortunately got a little bit neglected. Alright, so again, this is the overview of the palette. I do have an empty pan again. I know this one does not look like as used anymore because I have filled those empty pans with Frankens. But overall, I'm really happy that I did so because I feel like I get more creative ways of using shades, and also because I'm not into like super deep looks at the moment. Having those lighter transition shades that I've Frankened has been really, really useful. So I'm going to talk you through the goals of this palette in a moment, but I'm going to go through the weight first. And we do have another kind of like disappointing month with this palette. I feel like I've hit a bit of a wall with this palette, to be honest. I'm not using it as much as I used to, so I probably need to switch my mindset a little bit in August again and try to use it more. But one of the reasons why I think I'm doing that is because, again, I'm going for much lighter looks. Like now I'm kind of using maybe like 3-4 eyeshadows in each look, whereas in the past I've always, you know, hovered around using 8 to 9 eyeshadows every single look that I do, even if that's a neutral look or a colorful look. I was also always using like a lot of different shades and like layering them and building depth. But now I just do simple looks. I put like, you know, maybe a slight like medium tone in the outer corner. I put like a shade in my crease, maybe like a blending out shade, and then shimmer on my lid, and then an inner corner. That's like the most I do now, which is like 5 shades then. Whereas before, like I said, I might have done 9. So that's probably that's definitely hindering my progress a little bit, and I'm obviously using less shadow. But I think as soon as we get into autumn, I'm gonna hopefully start doing those like smoky look a little bit more again. I mean, today I'm wearing more of a smoky look, but it's for filming and just working from home. So, you know, it's a neutral look, but it's a little bit smoky. So even, you know, if it's a smokier look, it's still kind of okay to wear, I guess, in my meetings and stuff like that on a webcam. But normally I do go for kind of more, I don't know, everyday looks, more kind of subtle, demure. That's like the whole trending thing right now, looks, I guess, and that's completely non-intentional. I've been doing that for the last couple of months, but that's my little rant over. I'm gonna go through the weights, like I said, and I'm gonna start with like the, you know, basic information first. So at the introduction of this year, this palette weighed 162.70 grams. And if you add up the weight of the palette, this one has an advertised weight of 10.36 grams. So that means that I need to reach for 0.86 grams on average per month if I want to finish the advertised weight throughout this year. And I have been doing pretty good. I've been a little bit behind for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not been the absolute best. I definitely slow down the further into the year we get when I finish up those like more easier shades, I guess. But in Q1, I was able to reach for 2.11 grams, and the goal at that point was 2.58 grams, so I was a little bit behind, but that was okay. Then in Q2, I used up 1.6 grams, and the goal again was 2.58, so I was definitely more behind in Q2. And total use at that point was 3.71 grams, and the goal was 5.16, so, you know, I guess 1.5 grams behind, which I guess is fine because I have accepted I'm not going to be able to finish this whole palette this year, so I'm still happy with that. Then in the month of July, I used up 0.10 grams, and this is like the really annoying part because I frankened this palette, and I think also being in summer, it's way more humid at the moment, and I believe this palette has gained weight from humidity because I guess the humidity gets, especially into this like felt packaging, it's going to cling to that, like any moisture is going to cling to this packaging, which is I think also why it's gaining weight when it's more humid. So I feel like my weight isn't as accurate anymore. I think in the last 2 months, yeah, my weight just haven't been as accurate. Maybe this past month has been better, but that month in July definitely was not accurate because I did reweigh my palette like a couple, you know, week or so, I think 2 weeks after filming, and it had gained weight instead of gone down, even though I've used it. So I know for sure that that weight was off, but that's fine. I'm hoping that the weight's gonna average out later in the year anyway. That was where I was in the month of July, and at that point my palette weighed 158.98 grams. And today this palette weighs 158.73 grams, which means that I have finished up 0.25 grams, which, you know, isn't like the absolute best, but it's still okay. Let me see how much I've actually used up in total in this palette this year. So looking at the numbers, that means I have used up 3.94 grams, which is basically like 4 grams of the palette, which is pretty good. How much is in this palette? How much is in each pan? So each pan contains 0.74 grams. So averaging that out, it means that I have completely finished up 5.36 shadows. So not quite 5.5, but I mean, I'm happy with that. Looking at that, that would be like if I guess all of these were done, and then this one was the way it is, and then these were completely full, which makes sense, I think. And I'm really happy with that. We only do have 4 months left of the year, which means I'm getting a little bit stressed with this palette. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to finish. Realistically, I think looking at the palette, the shades I'm going to be able to finish is probably Glistening, Fairy. This one's already done. I'm going to finish up those Frankens. Bronze, I think I'm going to be able to finish too. So from the top row here, I'm going to be able to finish, I think, all of those shades, apart from Mulberry, hopefully. Then the bottom row, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish Dusty Rose. Maybe I'll make another Franken with Orange Soda and I can use it up that way, but we'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish up the whole shade. However, I'm pretty sure I can finish up Fairy, Burnt Orange and Sienna. Those are going to be my goals, and then these 3 not. So that would mean 4 or 5 shades not finished, which I will be completely happy with, especially because those are shades that I don't reach for as much. But we still have a long way to go, and I'm going to do my very best to do so. So let's move on to my goals next. Alright, so with this palette, like I said, I do want to put in some goals because I do want to get some big progress on this one in the next month. I feel like I want to put in a usage goal on bronze for 15 uses. 15 uses is quite a lot, but I know I can use this one on my nails, and that's 5 uses. So even if I use it on my nails twice, that's 10 uses, and then 5 times my eyes. That's definitely doable. So I'm going to put in 15 uses on bronze as a goal to try to really get some good progress on it. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it in the next month because there's still a bit of quite a lot of product in there, but I want to get really close so that I can have some good progress on this palette. Of course, I'm going to Franken Glistening, so that's going to be done at some point soon anyway. And by the way, once that's done, I'm probably going to do the same with Fairy too. That's probably how I'm going to try to finish up those 2 shades. So I'm not going to touch those at the moment. Then I really do want to focus on Burnt Orange again. I do want to try to get that one out soon. And again, I don't think I can get it out this month, but I'm going to try to get out maybe like half of what is left. And since I don't want to split the pan in half, I'm just going to continue expanding the pan. I'm going to put in a usage goal of 15 on Burnt Orange because it's my most favorite shade in this palette to use. So 15 uses for Burnt Orange. For my third goal, what should I do? I'm thinking if I should do like Orange Soda or Sienna, because I feel like both of those I should be able to finish. If I Franken again a bit more of Sienna, that one will be quite low, so maybe I want to focus on that one. But I know Orange Soda is more of a summery shade for me, but I'm trying to hit pan on like a really light concealing shade in a different project, so maybe I will give Orange Soda a break and focus on Sienna more. So maybe I'll put another usage goal of Sienna on 10 again, because I do want to get some really good progress on this palette. Alright, so we have a usage goal on bronze for 15, and then 10 uses on Burnt Orange and 10 uses on Sienna. And that's going to be my goals, on top of course Frankening, Glistening and Sienna to make that this one to make a decision shade again, and this one going into a highlighter. So those are going to be my goals for the next month. And with that, you guys, I'm going to wrap up my Panda palette update. Again, I'm a little bit disappointed in myself in how I'm using this palette. I feel like I'm not getting as much use out of it as I should. But I feel like in this time of year is when, if any time, I would hit like a bit of a burnout. And I think that's what happened with this palette. I've also been very overwhelmed with things that I'm planning. I've also been traveling in the month of August, which meant that I did really simple looks when I was in Sweden. I did bring this palette, so I did use it like on the daily, but I honestly only reached for like 2 or 3 shades, which was usually Burnt Orange, Sienna and Orange Soda, or one of those combinations. So it did really slow down quite a bit. But again, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. We'll see how much progress I can get in next month. I'm really hoping to push myself with this palette and try to do some more kind of involved looks so I can get some more progress on it and get some more weight used up. But I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are. As always, let me know how you're doing with your Panda palette down below. I love hearing it. I say that every update, but I do really honestly love hearing your updates in the comments, so please let me know down below. Otherwise, I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!